this anyway. Hi everyone, I'm here with my beautiful friend Jess, who is joined with Rambo, her cute puppy. And Jess is a long-term carnivore, and I met her back in the day just through the carnivore community. And Jess is currently pregnant with her first baby. So fucking excited for you. So we're just having a little chat today about health stuff, life stuff, just kind of whatever organically comes out. Those who know me and Jess, we both very much unfiltered and kind of just say whatever we think. And so we'll just see what comes out in this topic and this conversation. So great to see you and see you so well and see you so full and glowing with all the mummy hormone.
Yeah.
So I've already asked you, but just for everybody else, how are you feeling? How are things going? At what stage of your pregnancy are you at? And I already know the answers to these things, and just kind of how you've experienced your journey so far.
Okay. So I feel fine. I am not tracking though, because I don't know, it's just not something I was like super interested in. I don't know if that makes me like a bad mom or something, but
What do you mean by
I
tracking? What?
like tracking how far I am. I have no idea
Oh,
how many weeks I am.
oh,
I figured the baby's gonna come out when it
yeah,
wants to come out.
when
So
it's cooked.
so what's the point of tracking? And I really tried to do the what size fruit is my baby
Mhm.
today. And I did it, me and my husband did it once and then never did it again. It was just, I was not interested at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. It makes
Um,
it go so slow as well. It's like, oh my God, you know, when you're focusing on how
yeah.
it works, it's like, oh my goodness, gonna be pregnant
So
forever.
I'm just like going with it. So I feel pretty normal other than like I've gained weight. So like that's been the toughest part for me so far is feeling fat and gaining weight and not having the body that I had before and getting used to that and still feeling like beautiful and attractive and stuff like that. So other than that, health wise, the baby is fine. I'm fine. Everything's perfect. No issues. But just like the mental aspect of my body changing has been the hardest part. So I'm around though. I'm around like 20 something weeks, like 26, something like that, if I had to guess, because I have to go in soon and get my glucose test to see
Oh
if I
yeah.
have gestational diabetes, and you have to do that before the 28-week mark. So I'm not at 28 weeks yet, but I
Yeah.
think I'm getting close.
That's how you're governing it. Just when my hospital appointments are.
Yeah. I know, but when I go into my appointments, they're like, "So how far along are you?" And I'm like, "Aren't you supposed to know that? Like, why are you asking me?
Hilarious.
Like, don't you have records of that stuff?" And they're like, "Yeah, we just want to like make sure." I'm like, "I don't know. Like, I'm relying on you guys to keep track of that, not me."
Oh, I love that approach though, because yeah, like I said, it makes it last. It's just so long. I remember with my last, so I've got three little girls. Do you know what you're having?
Boy.
I did know that actually. I just remembered. So exciting. And I remember with my last of my girls, I found out super early when I was pregnant. I mean, like I must have been days pregnant when I found out. And I hadn't missed a period. There was nothing to show up. I just had this feeling. And I took a test, and yeah, I was like instantly knew I was pregnant. So I knew right from the beginning, and I just felt pregnant forever for that last one. And it
Yeah.
just it sucks. So I'm all for your low approach to tracking, because I think it's a beautiful way to be. And like you want to try and just let what's going to unfold happen with as much grace and ease as we can. I can relate to the body issues. Obviously, I got into personal training 22 years ago, did my degree in sports and all the things back in the day, and have progressively studied and learned a ton over the years. And so being in the health industry and then getting into neuromuscular health, which is what I specialize in, and all the other pieces, you have very good control of the outcome of your health in your body, right? When you know what you're doing and you know how to apply the different things and the principles are there, then it's, you know. And so when we add something into the mix that we have zero control over, like growing another being inside of our bodies, it's such a head fuck. I just,
Yeah.
there's no other word for it. Sorry, not sorry. It is such, and like, because you've had control of the outcome of your health and your body, and obviously you too, those that don't know, Jess lost a lot of weight. I did too. I lost about 3 stone. That was going around about 20 odd kilos. And that was just getting healthy. That was going paleo. That was going from a standard kind of diet, standard American-ish diet, not as bad in New Zealand, being raised in New Zealand, but still a lot of processed foods. Going from that to paleo, I lost around 3 stone. Like that was just going meat, vegetables, nuts and seeds. And then I was in I thought, a pretty healthy state for a long time. And I was like, cool, this is me. And now I know how to control what I need to put in and how I need to care for my body. And then I get this outcome. Cool, I've got that. Then with pregnancy, it completely blows all of out of, you know, all of that out of the water. And it's hard to go from that, you know, even now, and I'm not pregnant, I felt it. It was hard as a woman as well to feel really confident, really good in your body and in your health, because you've gotten to a good health point, and then you haven't lost it by getting pregnant, but you feel like you have, and you're like, I'm doing all the same things. I'm still eating nutrient-dense foods. Obviously, I've been carnivore, not as long as you, Jess. I went full carnivore. I went heavy meat based in 21, and then from 22, not anything has touched my mouth that hasn't been meat, animal based. So, you know, it's been a good few years now, and I'm in the best health and condition of my life. And I have control over this things. To get pregnant, to grow another being, to have all those hormonal changes, to have all the weight issues, or not, it's not an issue. Exactly. Even the way I speak about it, right? It's so conditioned into me to feel like,
Yeah.
and you can feel like pregnancy is a bit of a sentence. You're like, oh my God, I have no control over this. Everything gets stretched and everything gets like loose and moved around. And it is a really big head mess. And I can even tell you that with each pregnancy, and I've gone through that 3 times, because with my first baby, I had my first daughter, and then I went back to training too quickly. I focused too much on intake and tracking and that kind of stuff. And I got like, I want my body back. And it was this body back mindset. And I lost my body fat too rapidly, and I wasn't able to continue breastfeeding. Like I screwed myself up. I wanted to like chat with you about this today too, to just kind of share some of the things that I've gone through when you said I'm finding the body stuff difficult, because I think we all do as women, especially women that are health conscious and have done things to look after their health. And this thing is, you know, it's literally an alien. And the whole experience is alien, and we have to kind of get our head around it. So with my first daughter, Maya, I lost weight too rapidly. I screwed up my breastfeeding and my milk supply, and I had to co-feed through formula and breast feed, which is not what I wanted to do. I had all these grand ideas about wanting to always breastfeed and do it all naturally, and, you know, just do everything as much as nature requires and intends. And I stuffed myself up being too in my head about wanting my body back and being in that industry and wanting to bounce back. And there's these expectations too. You see like people in society in terms of, you know, actors and celebrities and stuff, and their bodies are like enjoying, and you're like, what? So pressure, you know, you're like, oh, I don't look like that now. I didn't look like that before I had a child. Jesus, you know. And
Yeah.
And being in the health industry too, you feel like, and you being in the limelight for your health, Jess, and you being out there for your health, it gets in your head. You're like, this is what I'm portraying. And then I look fat and inflated and puffy and all the things. And it's totally understandable. Like, I can fully relate. But what I obviously learned from that experience is it was so not worth it. And when I had my second child, my second daughter, I was in a much better, like I got through all those feelings and all those emotions and learned to regulate myself with it, so that when I had my second child, I enjoyed it a little bit more. Like I wasn't in such a hurry to, you you know, bounce back post-pregnancy. And I actually breastfed her, you know, for a good 18 months. She was my longest out of the three. And I just went, okay. And then even with my third, I was the same. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to give myself even more time to repair and recover after that, because our bodies go through so much as you're going through now and learning. And then birth is just a whole nother ballpark, which is how are you feeling about that side of it? Have you thought about the labor?
I'm not concerned. I'm one of those people that like I'm pretty like go with the flow with things for the most part.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those people that has like the mindset of millions of women have done it before me. Why can't I do it? So I'm not worried at all. So I don't know if I'm just naive, but my mom had a really easy labor too, with me. So I don't know. I just am not something I'm not worrying myself about, especially like I have no control over it or anything. And when it happens, it happens. So yeah, I definitely am just letting everything happen the way it wants to happen and not worrying or stressing. And my mom is actually going to be able to, she's coming out here because I'm in Okinawa right now. And she's flying out here and she's going to be here for a couple of months actually. So she's going to get here before my due date and then leave like October, so like August to October or something like that. So she's gonna be here for a while, just like helping me and being here with me. So I have that support system, and yeah. So I'm not super worried about it. Like I yeah. I think it's interesting though that
stay in that space. That's a really good place to be in. Like, and like
yeah.
often other people's experiences don't mean jack anyway. So like just because somebody's gone through something doesn't mean that you're going to. And like you said, we're made to do this. Like literally.
Yeah. Like the baby's gonna come out anyways. Like even if something happens, like we live in a time where if like the worst case scenario happens, like they have precautions that they can take and like things you can do. So like I'm not worried about the baby coming out of me at all.
Yay, good. I don't think I can. I don't think I ever thought about it weirdly, like because you just don't. You just, you know, when the baby starts to move around and it feels really alien and you're like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Like, how much does he move around? Is he active?
I don't know. It's because I have zero expectations. My sister, I had a brother and a sister, but my sister's like 8 years older than me, so we weren't super close. None of my cousins were around my age. I didn't have any like friends that like I experienced their pregnancy with or anything. So I have never really been around pregnancy. I had no clue what to expect. I didn't know what it was going to be like. We weren't even planning this. This was an accident. Me and my husband thought that we genuinely thought we couldn't get pregnant. But but we did because we've been married for almost 8 years now, and I've never taken birth control like through our whole entire relationship. So we thought something was wrong with one of us and we just couldn't get pregnant. And we weren't really trying, but it was one of those things like if it happens, it happens, but we weren't planning on it, we weren't trying. And then it happened. So I have no like mentality around it or anything. So I don't know what the standard is for like active. Like I think I feel kicking, but at first I thought it was gas.
Yeah.
So at first I didn't know that it was like kicking, and then now I'm pretty sure that it's him kicking. So I feel kicks and stuff. It's not like all the time. It's like every once in a while. So I would say like maybe moderately active, like it's happening, but it's not like
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I've had people though, because I've worked with tons of people pre and postnatal. So that was part of like back in the day, I always worked with women that had gone through, were either trying to get pregnant, had already been, or were pregnant currently. So lots of pregnant women, I've been around them. And yeah, if you've got nothing to compare to, then how would you even know? And when I've had women though that haven't felt kick through their whole pregnancy. So they've
Really?
had birth and never really felt their baby move. And I was like, oh, that must be weird not to have felt it beforehand and then
Yeah.
suddenly, so that you do have the oddities that don't ever feel kicking. So like that doesn't mean that the baby's not healthy. Like it's not relevant. I asked the question more just as in like, oh my God, my first child used to kick and like she felt like she was trying to dig up into my rib cage. I'd have to get my hand and push her limbs out of my rib. So I was like, oh my God, you're going the wrong way. Go that way. And it was super painful.
Yeah.
So that was, really, really obvious. And you could see like a hand or a foot, like literally clearly like an alien through the skin. It was gross. So like I've had really active babies. They've been like keep me up at night. My last one, she kept me up loads. So I didn't sleep for months towards the end of my pregnancy because she would just kick and prod me all night long. And I just spent my night rolling over and over and over and over again. So I ask you about that, just to even if you felt any sensation. So there's definitely fluttering, there's different, like I get the first stuff, it's like, is that gas? Or it's this weird like kind of internal flutter and you're like, what is that?
Yeah. It feels weird. It definitely feels weird.
Yeah. It's a trip, hey, being pregnant. It's so, yeah, it's such a strange experience. And like you said, unless you've gone through it and if you haven't been around it, then you don't really know what to expect or what the go is. But
yeah,
it's
I think that's helping me. I think that's helping me kind of because I don't have any like fears about anything. I don't have any expectations or like no one's like I've never had any horror stories put on me to where I have that like thing in my head of like what if this happens. I'm just going with it.
yeah.
So I think it's helping me a lot just to not
Overthink.
worry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I will just stay on pregnancy for a little bit. What do you have like thoughts? Do you want to try and do it at home? Are you gonna go for like a birthing unit, Jazz, or are you gonna go full hospital ward? Like, have you thought about? I know that things happen. We don't know what's going to happen, but we will have our ideal situation. Have you thought about that?
Well, since I'm in Okinawa, I just am gonna go to the military hospital. I think there are like midwives out here and stuff, but I didn't want to really look into that, or I don't know. I'm just gonna go to the military hospital and just do that because it's the easiest thing. And yeah, so that I haven't like super planned out either. Because again, I feel like the baby's gonna come out. It's gonna come out when it wants to come out, however it wants to come out. So I'm not stressing about that. So we're planning on just going to the hospital and giving birth there. It's like my ideal scenario would be like I'd be back in the United States right now, and I could go to like a cool like birthing center. But I just don't want to do that in Okinawa. I just would rather go to a military hospital. If I was in the United States, I feel like it would be a lot different, but yeah, right now I just am gonna go to the military hospital and just do it that way.
Yeah. And will Jared have time off around that? Like, where is he at the moment? Is he?
Yeah, his job is super chill. If I ever have an appointment, he can just like come take me to the appointments. And when I go into labor and stuff, like he'll just have to like let them know like, hey, like she's going into labor, and then he'll get paternity leave. I think is like a month or something like that. So he'll get to just stay home with me, and my mom will be here. So the baby will have like tons of attention and everything it needs, everything he needs. But yeah, so
you getting what you need, because oh my God, when you have this little life-sucking creature attached to you permanently and literally having, anything hot becomes a thing of the past. And, even being able to shower or go to the bathroom becomes like a big deal. Like it's such a bomb in your world, a wonderful one. I've done it 3 times. So I talk about it like, oh, but you can't prepare for it. So it's just great that you've got support from Jared and support from your mummy, and that you're going to have people there to feed you and be able to hold the baby while you need to go and clean yourself, like
Yeah.
the basics.
Yeah, I definitely feel very like blessed with the situation that I am in, that I have like a good support system, and I'll have people here and they'll be here for a very long time. So, well, my husband will be here forever, but my mom will be here for like a whole month, over a month. And yeah, so 2 months. Yeah, 2 months. I don't know. And my goal is to just chill like afterward, just like relax, just kind of stay in bed, don't try to like jump back into life super quickly. Just like moderate like exercise, like going for walks or something like that. I don't want to get back into the gym too soon. I want my body to be able to like heal. And I've been doing that during the pregnancy too, where I haven't been, when I found out I was pregnant, because I'm kind of like you. My husband was in, I think, Thailand, because he travels a lot for his job, so I always forget what countries he's in. Like, he's in a different country right now, but my husband went, I think, to Thailand for 6 months, and I didn't want to stay in Okinawa that long by myself, so I went back home for 6 months and I stayed with my parents and in California. And then around Christmas time, or right before Christmas, the beginning of December, he flew out and surprised me. So he got to come from Thailand and come visit me for a week in the United States. And then that's when I got pregnant. So I like knew exactly when I got pregnant. Yeah. So I knew that I was pregnant pretty quickly, because my periods are like my hormones were really balanced with like our way of eating and stuff. So like my periods are very consistent. So like when it didn't come, I was like, whoa. And it was the first time I've ever taken a pregnancy test in my life. Like the first time I ever had like a pregnancy scare or whatever, like I thought that I might be pregnant. And yeah, so I knew exactly when I was pregnant. And I forgot where I was going with this.
So we're talking about, I don't know,
Yeah,
Jared being away, being here, you being in support,
yeah, I'm just
having help.
Yeah, I'm very blessed with like the situation that I'm in. I feel like I had a point, but it's one of those things where you just forget.
Yeah.
One of those pregnant things.
And let's use the pregnancy excuse, because
Yeah.
it can at the moment, right? It's funny though, because when you're talking, it just flashes me back to when I found out I was pregnant with my first daughter, and I didn't think I was pregnant, and I hadn't really thought too much about it, but I was like, okay, I haven't had my period. And same as you, I have clockwork periods, but I don't necessarily track them. Like, I probably track them more now than I used to, because I knew that they just came regularly. And so I wasn't sure exactly how. I knew I was a bit late, but I wasn't sure on the exact when I found out. And I had a client, and this is when I was doing personal training and stuff in London. And I always used to book 9 clients back to back, like 5 or 6 days a week, like mad. And so I knew that my day would be rammed and I wouldn't get another opportunity. And I was at my girlfriend's house, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm pregnant. And she happened to have a pregnancy test in her drawer. And I'd never done a pregnancy test either. So I was like, oh, okay. So I go into to pee on it, and I did not do it right. I don't know if I flooded it or I did not. It did not work. So I brought it out, and then we waited, and it just came up with an error. And I was like, oh God, I've got a big client base. How am I going to think about my day ahead when I might be pregnant? I need to know. So drunk a ton more liquid, because I had like an hour or something to be there. And then I had like 15 minutes, and my job was like 10 minutes away from her house. And we fashioned this bottle, like a plastic bottle. We cut it in half and made like a plastic cup. And she made me go and pee into the cup and brought it to the lounge and did it in the lounge, like held the thing in. And then it was instantly came up with pregnant. And I was like, oh my God. And it's just life-changing, because straight away you're like, oh my God, there's something growing in me. Like, it's so strange. And I went to work and I did all those sessions just in a kind of blur almost, because my brain was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. Like, I'm going to have a baby. Like,
yeah.
And so my girlfriend actually found out before my husband had found out that I was pregnant. And then I rang him later and he was at work and I was like, I need to speak to you.
Yeah.
So freaking out about it. I said, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And he went, oh, well, that's great, babe. And I was like, but I'm not like ready. And he's like, well, we knew that, you'd be ready when you're ready. And I was just like, totally freaked out about it.
Yeah.
But
That's it. That's kind of when I did it. I went to a little restaurant that I really liked that's down the street from my parents' house. And then I went to like the coffee shop next door and I did it in the coffee shop bathroom and then and then waited and I was just sitting there. I was alone. I was just sitting there and I was just like, and I was confused because I got the cheapest one that I could find. So it was like the dashes instead of like pregnant, not
yeah.
pregnant. Yeah. So I was like, is this I didn't know if it was clear or not. Yeah. And then I took another one at home and then I told my mom and then we called when I was like, I think I took 3. And when I took 3 and was pretty positive that I was pregnant, I called my husband. He was back in Thailand and I was like, so I'm pregnant. He was like, oh wow, okay, well, let's do it. Like yeah, he was me and my husband aren't very like exciting. Like if we get good news, we're like, cool, yay. And my mom, when she found out, she was like wanting to freak out, and wanting to like have that moment with someone. And she didn't really get that because I was like, oh hey, I'm pregnant. And she was like,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, it's cool.
yeah. And then and then when we told my husband, she was like in the car with me and it was on speakerphone and he was like, oh cool. And my mom was like, you guys need to be more excited. So so
You're not enthusiastic enough.
yeah. So we called Jen, delighted to meet you.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and we sat in the garage and called her and like told her, and her and my mom got to have like a little like moment because my mom was like waiting for that to like be excited and release that energy. But yeah, me and my husband are like not those type of people.
Funny. Oh, well, at least your mum got that little boost from her.
Yeah.
And has that baby too. Like, will it be her first grandchild?
No, but so my brother and sister, we have the same dad, different moms.
Oh yeah.
So I'm my mom's like only baby that she's had herself.
Yeah.
So my brother and sister have kids.
Yeah.
But this will be like her first, like, I don't want to say like blood. Yeah, it'll be her first like blood grandchild. Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting for her.
Yeah.
I had so when I had my second child, my mum actually came to London for about 9 weeks, a couple of months, and just helped me with, because I had a toddler. So my first and second children have the same birthday, exactly 3 years apart.
Wow.
I know, so random. And so when my daughter turned 3, I had planned this party for her at this upstairs private room in some restaurant in Chiswick in London, and organised all the things to be there for her 3rd birthday. And then literally in the morning, my waters broke and I was like, oh, bugger, like of any of the days, why? I just wanted her to have her 3rd birthday. And so I called all the girls that were coming, bringing their kids to the party. And I said, look, whoever can get to my house, come over as soon as you can. We're going to throw her a quick little party for her birthday. And then I've got to go to the hospital because I'm going to have a baby. And so I literally blew up about 50 balloons, put a cake, baked a cake, put it in the oven, like crazy town stuff. Looking back on it now, I was like, what was I doing? I just think like, one, like you said, it's going to come, she's going to come out when she's going to come out. And I'm not going to stop my life. I'm going to just keep going and carry on with as much as I can. because it's the same with finding out you're pregnant. If you know you're pregnant or you put all your focus on you track it, you're pregnant forever. Like it's the same with labor. I want to try to distract myself from not thinking about the fact that, you know, she's coming out and just carry on. So
Yeah.
got this party ready for her, got this cake ready for her, had the girls that could come to my house show up at the house. And I literally had like a towel shoved up between my legs in my skirt that I was wearing. And I'm having full-on contractions on the wall, like breathing. And then I was like, I'd wait for it to pass. And then I'm like, okay, quickly light the candles. Like, let's sing a happy birthday. So I'm like, I put it down. I'm like, okay. Oh my God. But that was the fastest, easiest. Because I, again, like your mum, I'm quite blessed. I have very easy births and fast births and pretty non-complex births. And with Maya, I think that was my first, it was like 6 hours from my first contraction to her arrival, or less. It was 5 or 6 hours, so it was pretty quick. With my second, who this is the shared birthday, I literally did her happy birthday, got in the car, went straight to the hospital, and my first contraction with her was 10:30 and I had her at 1:20 in the afternoon. So it was less than 3 hours. And I threw a bloody party in the middle of that, which is mayhem. But I was like, oh my God, she's coming out. Like in the car, I was like, shit, get to the hospital. Literally, she's coming out. We got into the birth center and I wanted to, so I had a water birth with my first child. So I wanted a water birth. So I got to strip my clothes off to get in the bath. And she's like, no, we just need to check how far along you are. Just go onto your side. And they're like, oh, she's here. I was in that hospital room for less than 5 minutes before she was literally, I just picked her up and she was here. And so I then screenshot it over, took a photo and sent it to my friends who were still at my house having this birthday party with my toddler that carried on when we left. And they're like, oh my God, there's a baby. Like, they were like, what the hell, Jess? Because I think we left at about 1:45. I had her at 1:21 in the afternoon. So they were like, she almost came out in the car, like really close. Being busy, not thinking about it, you know, just doing life, doing you know, carrying on with the things that you need to do is such a good way to just naturally do what we're designed to do. You know, I think every time I've had any kind of intervention in any of my labors has always been when the things have gone wrong. Like too much intervention is not, I wanted to have home births. I would have been happy to have home births with like the little pools that they blow up or whatever, like have a home water birth type thing. But my husband at the time did not feel comfortable with me doing that. He was like, if something went wrong, I want you close to medical professionals that can help you. And so, you know, I went along with that. But it was interesting because when I did have issues with complications, it was actually post-birth, it was because of intervention, which is meant to be, right? So I'm all for taking it in your stride or trusting that your body's going to do what it needs to do. And having that support on the other side to make sure that you can sleep and eat and rest, because if the baby doesn't sleep, then you don't sleep, and they're sucking all the nutrients and everything that they require out, and they'll leave you the leftovers. So if you're not, and I know you're great because you're eating all the nutrient-dense foods, so I don't need to preach to you, and you'll have a cellular backlog of energy. So, you know, but a lot of mothers do find that they're in depleted states post-birth because baby's taking everything it needs, and you will get the leftovers. And if you're not getting enough, then it will come from you. So I'm really glad to hear that you've got that support and you're going to have that support from your mum, because that's epic. That's why my mum came out. That was the part of my story, was because I had a 3-year-old and a 5-week-old baby, and it was by myself and it was absolute mayhem. She came out to help me, and it was just so great to have that support and be able to sleep and feed myself and stuff. So yeah, I'm really, really glad that that's going to happen. And yeah, if you learn anything from me, it's just like, you're not going to anyway, Jess, but you just said it. You're going to just take your time, enjoy being a mummy, just walk when it feels good, just, you know, look after yourself and let your body recover the way that it needs to, because it does take time. Like it's over a full year. It's meant to be a full year, full 2 years for full regeneration post-birth. like
Wow.
a long time to do all this internal structural things. Although I can treat your pelvic floor after your birth and that will fix that instantly, so you don't have to have any issues with that later. I have
Okay. Yeah.
like I can hook that up for you.
Yeah. I think
Um,
that's what one thing I was gonna say that I forgot was that like during the pregnancy I haven't really been working out or anything like other than just walking and stuff too. I've been like very just like taking it chill and not overdoing it. Like which I don't think that I think it's cool when I see like these like really fitness women and they're like still going to the gym and stuff throughout their whole pregnancy. Like good, that's cool. But like when I found out I was pregnant, I basically because I was running a lot, I was going to the gym, I was like super active. And then I was like, I'm just gonna chill and just enjoy it and just let my body just like do what it wants. And so I stopped working out as hard and I like slowly just like tapered off to now that like I don't really go to the gym at all. I just like will walk my dog and stuff like that. So I've been
you're
yeah.
speaking of your dog. I thought that was so funny. I actually text Jess about this because I got a little dog when I was pregnant with my last baby, and it was during the lockdown. So it was like people laughed about the fact that, if you got pregnant in 2020, it was like, oh, you had a lockdown baby, or if you had a lockdown puppy, you had a like
Yeah.
influx of people buying dogs during that period of time. And everyone thought I was mad getting a puppy when I didn't plan to. It was funny. Have you seen do you know what miniature pincers look like?
No, I have heard of that breed, but I can't picture it.
Like a Doberman, like a black and brown big.
Oh, yeah, okay. Like
So
a
like,
min pin. Yeah. Okay, I
yeah,
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yes. And they're like staunch, but they're mini. And I never really liked mini dogs. I've always been like a kind of Rottweiler, Labrador, like just bigger dogs. Like that's what I grew up with. So I always liked bigger dogs. But I was in London and I loved these little miniature pincers. I actually met one at LAX once. I was on this 12-hour layover in LAX and I spent about 4 hours just playing with this dog. It was so cute, so staunch. And he went up to all the drug dogs and puffed his little chest out. And he just like, I was like, oh my God, you're so rad. I want one of those. And so for years, I wanted to get this dog. Anyway, I was on this Facebook site that had this miniature pins, and this breeder had a litter, and I had commented, oh my God, they're so gorgeous, la 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 la. And she was like, these ones are bred in advance. So they were like, however long. So they were all signed for. But basically, she just emailed me like a couple of months later and said, hey, you know how you were interested in a puppy? One of the owners has actually had a circumstance change and there is a puppy available. And I was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And it was a ton as well. Like I think the puppy market, like
Yeah, probably.
£1,000, which is like a lot, right? Like I don't know what the exchange is in American. That's like $8,000 New Zealand dollars. So it's insane puppy costs. And I was like, oh my God, I really, really want one though. And she's bred, she's got the lineage. If I wanted to do it, show dogging, like there's all the stuff. Not that I wanted that, but it just was what kind of manifested. And I got this beautiful little puppy. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. She was like a teacup dog. I could fit her in my hand. Like she was so small. And so I had her through my through my pregnancy and through my birth with my last baby.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to have a dog when you're pregnant and to have a dog newborn. Like my kids have always grown up around animals, and we had a dog, a golden Labrador in London as well. He sadly passed away. He was like 12 and he was old, but my kids had grown up around dogs and animals, and I think it's really important for them to have that connection. And it's funny because the dog will know that you're pregnant before other people, like even before you're showing. They have this sixth sense. And I saw Rambo and he's so cute. What is he?
He's a miniature dachshund. He's either a miniature or the smaller size of miniature, which I think it's like rabbit dachshund or something like that. Because he's pretty tiny.
And how big will he go?
What?
How big will he get?
I'm not sure. He's like 5 months right now, and he's about this big. He's probably like a little over, like his body's probably like a ruler, the size of a ruler, and then his little head. But yeah, so he's a wiener dog, and I grew up with, like your kids, like you were saying, I grew up with dogs. At one point, we had 5 dachshunds, and so I grew up with these type of dogs, and I've always had a dog my whole life. So when I moved out of my house, I actually got a big dog named Maya, and she is a super much. She's a German Shepherd, Australian Shepherd, Husky, Lab. We got her. Me and my mom were at a gas station, and this lady was giving away puppies out of the trunk of her car. Yes. And we went over, and we didn't need a dog at all. We weren't searching for a dog. And we went over, and then my mom was like, "Oh, do you have any blue-eyed dogs?" Because I'd always wanted a dog with blue eyes. And she was like, "Yeah, we do back at the ranch." So we followed her back, like this stranger that we met at a gas station. We followed her back to her ranch like place. And they were like apparently in the town that we were in. They were the family that everyone would just go and drop their dogs off at if they didn't want their dogs. So that there was like 20 just like dogs roaming around, a couple pregnant dogs and puppies. And then that's where I saw Maya, and she's white with tan freckles and blue eyes.
Are your mum's? Do your mum and dad have her now?
Yeah, she didn't come with us to Okinawa, but yeah, we had another dog here named Lola, which was my husband's dog, and she died. And then my husband after that kept asking, like, "Can we get another dog? Can we get another dog?" And I was like, "No, let's just wait till we get back to the United States, because it's a hassle to move a dog across the world in an airplane." Yeah, so I was like, let's just wait. And he just kept asking and asking, and we would go to these little places around here and look at the little puppies in the windows and stuff. And we got back, so like I said, I went to the United States, and then we came back to Okinawa when he came back from Thailand. And we were just like walking around, and we saw Rambo at one of the little, because they have these like just random dog places inside malls and inside like this place called Makement, which is kind of like Home Depot, and they have like dogs in there. So we were walking around like this random like mall area, and we saw Rambo, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, he's so cute." And I grew up with dachshunds, so I have like a soft spot for dachshunds. And we went back a couple days in a row just to see him. And then the lady eventually, she was like, do you want to hold him? And we were like, sure. So she took him out, and then after that we were like, okay, we want him. So she sold us on him by letting us hold him. And I don't know, I just figured, like, because he kept asking, he really wanted a dog, and we know how to raise dogs and handle dogs, like we grew up with dogs and stuff. So and it kind of got us in the mindset of like having a baby also, because he's a puppy and he has to be potty trained and let out like every couple hours. So we're getting up and stuff and taking him out and kind of getting in that mindset of like having to get up and feed a baby and stuff like that. So I think it's helping us in that regard, because neither one of us have ever had kids before. And then also, this camaraderie aspect of like kids and dogs. And I loved growing up with dogs, and I've always wanted my kids to grow up with dogs if I had any. So he's a great.
I was just gonna say, are you guys gonna stay, and where are you gonna end up?
No. So we were planning before I got pregnant, because we weren't we weren't planning on me getting pregnant or anything. So we had planned to stay here for 3 more years.
Right.
And then I got pregnant, and my husband was like, hey, my wife's pregnant. I don't really want to stay here for 3 more years. Can we go back to the United States so we're not super far away from family?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, sure. So now I'm gonna be here. Basically, I just came back to give birth here, and then we're leaving again and going back to the United States. So we're leaving here in November, and my due date's in August. So yeah, so yeah, we'll just be here for I think I came back December. I think I came back in February. So I've just been here like February, March, April, May, June, July. I'll be here for 7 months and then go back to the United States, basically.
Funny.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask how you're gonna wrangle that, and like, because we moved to New Zealand from London, so I was in London. All my babies were born in England. I had all 3 of them there, and then when my youngest was 5 months old, we moved back to New Zealand. So that was 3 years ago. She's 3 now. And when we left, obviously, as I mentioned, I had this puppy. But I didn't realize that there's all these different rules and stuff. So like I knew that you have to have a rabies vaccination in order for the dog to be able to go on the plane. But I didn't realize that after you have the rabies injection, you have to take an antibodies test that then starts the timer. I don't know if you knew that, but look into that. So
Okay.
basically there was a delay being able to put her on a container, you know, to ship her over. Is that she wasn't allowed, they're not allowed on the flight with you. They have to come separately. And remember, it was during lockdown. So like heaps of the crates and containers of animals were getting stopped in Singapore port. And there was all these awful stories of them not making it. And I was like, oh my God, is this trip going to kill my dog?
Yeah.
She's so cool, and she's still like young and such a baby. And anyway, so my very best friend in London offered to look after her for it was only meant to be a few months for her rabies thing to be okay for her to get onto a container.
Yeah.
So it was only meant to be temporary, and she was meant to follow us over, and she is still in London living her best life. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really sad. Like the decision not to bring her over in the end was because I didn't want it to kill her, to ship her here. And obviously, I don't really care about money because, in my opinion, that's a life. That's like a baby. Like you said, that's like one of my family. Like I would pay to bring her. And it was going to cost 10 grand was the ballpark figure to ship her from London to New Zealand, which is literally
Wow. Yeah.
from opposite sides of the planet. And because they were quarantining when they got to New Zealand, the quarantine was $1,900 every 10 days, and they could just extend it as long as, yeah.
Wow.
So I was like,
that's crazy.
yeah. So I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And it was really hard. And the decision came in the end because my girlfriend, who's one of my best friends, she was like, I don't know how I'm going to give you this dog back. Like she was actually she was pregnant with her first, looking after my dog, who I got when I was pregnant with my last, and she was in love with her. And she's like, I don't think I can give you this dog back. And I was like, well, I don't know that I can bring her over. So she's still with my best friend.
That's sweet. Yeah. We kind of we had to bring ours over during it wasn't in like the height of the lockdown, but it was still when things were going on and you still had to quarantine and stuff like that when we were moving to Okinawa. And it was a lot. It was an intense process because we thought we were going to Washington, and my husband just got a text one day a couple months before we were supposed to move and said, hey, you're going to Japan, so get your paperwork in order. And it is an intense process to get a dog, especially during COVID, to get a dog from the United States to Japan. And we were stressing out, and it's like a 14-hour flight or something like that. And my one dog, Maya, who's the bigger dog, she is very high, like she's very aware. So it gets stressed out really easily.
Yeah. And
I didn't want to put her through that. So I asked my parents if they could keep her. So we just took Lola, and Lola's like really old. She was like probably 16, 17 when we moved. But she did fine on the plane. She's just one of those normal, she was one of those normal dogs that just like would just bark and, and just be a normal dog, but Maya was very self-aware of everything and just like constantly like looking at things and aware of things and scared of things. So yeah, we just brought Lola over and then we had to quarantine her and all that stuff. So it was an intense process, but thankfully the military like took, because they were moving us, so they took care of everything. So that was
that's so good.
Yeah, that's
it is. It's like you're literally looking at funds and it's a family member and you're like, how do I navigate this? Because obviously I don't want to leave her there.
Yeah, as long as it's like, as long as you are moving because the military is making you, then they pay for things. Yeah.
Amazing. That's what you want. It cost us 20K to move to New Zealand.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's a perk about being in the military, where like you get to travel and stuff, and they come and take all of your stuff for you. It's really nice actually. When you're moving to a different spot, people will come and just pack up your house for you, and you're not allowed to touch anything because
they have to know what's packed in the boxes.
Yeah, and they have to be like liable for it.
Yeah.
So like you can't help them. They just come and they pack everything and they label everything and they put it on a shipment thing and just send it to your next spot. So then if anything breaks, they're held liable for it. And you get paid, you get reimbursed. But yeah, it's really nice. So when you're moving with the military, people just come and like pack your house for you. Yeah,
so good. And so are you?
So that'll make it like less stressful too when we move back to the United States
with
a baby,
with a
dog. Yeah, it'll just like, we won't have to worry about like packing or anything. We'll just show up to our new duty station.
Go back.
We're going to Washington State. So yeah, so we'll be way closer to family than we are now, because our whole family is in California. My husband and I are both from California.
How far is Washington from California? I have no idea of America.
It's West Coast and it's just straight up. it's just straight up. It's pretty far. Like you can't, it would take a few days to drive, a couple of days to drive, because California is huge. It is a very huge state. But it's just straight up above California. I think Oregon is, and then Washington or something like that. I forget, but yeah, it's you just have to get up there. Probably fly. It would be easier to fly than to drive. It would be like a weekend trip if you drove. Because we live in Southern California, so we're at the very bottom. We're like really close to Mexico. Yeah, like I think I live probably like my family is an hour north of San Diego, and San Diego is like right on the border. Like you can, so we're very close to Mexico.
Traveling during lockdown, struggling with lockdown and babies. Oh, you're going to have so much fun. There's not going to be lockdowns though when you go, hopefully. But that's exciting. That's going to be awesome. When I moved back to New Zealand, I was really excited about being not so far away, because when I lived in London, every year I would come back because I got homesick and I'd come back for a visit. And then that's kind of spread out to once every 2 years, and then so on and so forth. And now I'm on the other side. I'm so happy to be back in New Zealand. I wanted to like predominantly have the girls grow up here because it's just such an awesome lifestyle. It's like the beach is stunning. It's like the most amazing beaches in the world. It's just so nature, and I loved growing up here as a kid. So I wanted them to have that, because London has a lot of amazing things and I loved my life there, but it's just not the same thing at all. And I'm so glad to have them home. But now I keep getting homesick for London. So now I'm like wanting to go back to London once a year to go the other way, because obviously I lived so much of my life on that side of the planet. But it's because it's the craziest. It's like one of the flights is 18 hours and 55 minutes or something. It's like the longest flight in history. It's insane.
Yeah, that's the only time I was like, I got any type of like almost sick. during this pregnancy, because I didn't get any morning sickness like my whole pregnancy, except when I was when I was flying from Southern California back to Okinawa. And I couldn't eat anything on the plane because I'm gluten-free anyway. I've been gluten-free like 10 years longer than I've been carnivore. And so I didn't have any food on the plane. And that's like one of the things they tell you is just like constantly keep food in your stomach so you don't get morning sickness or you don't get nauseous. And when we landed in Korea, and I got off the plane and had to immediately eat because my stomach was like starting to like feel a little nauseous. And that was like the closest I ever got to feeling nauseous during this pregnancy was my flight over here, because it was so long.
Oh God, hideous. Honestly, I just am waiting. It's like 2024. Where is the better travel? Where is the clicky shoes, Dorothy body teleportation? What is going on? Like, why are we still flying? It's so hard on the body, hard on the nervous system. I'm like, oh. And we flew first class on our way back from London when we moved. Have you flown first class?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I hadn't ever, and now that I have, it's like you never, ever, ever want to fly another way ever. Like, it's just tarnishes it. Oh my God. And it's so far, it's so long. So one of the flights is 18 hours and the other one I think is about 9 or 10. So like, it's stupid. You do one big ridiculous block and then you still got to do another one. It's just such a long way. And so to do that without being able to fully lie down and sleep and is so rough on the body. And I've done it that many times over the years and it's just not good for you. I'm like, it takes me so long to recover. And this is me being super healthy and well. So God knows what it does to like people that travel all the time and people that are changing massive time zones and anyhow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my husband, he like travels all the time for his job, and it's a lot of travel, but
does he
hopefully what?
Does he suffer jet lag very badly?
Wait, say it again?
Jet lag. Does he suffer jet lag very badly?
Yeah, pretty bad. Yeah, it takes him a long time to adjust to a new time zone.
Yeah.
Thankfully when I've flown from Okinawa to California or California to Okinawa, I haven't had that bad of jet lag, but he's like constantly traveling. Like I said earlier, he's like in a different country right now, and he's been gone for like 3 weeks. I think he has like 2 weeks left or something like that over there. But yeah, hopefully when we have the baby, things will like calm down and he won't have to travel as much. But yeah, he travels a lot. It's cool though. He gets to go to really cool places, but the jet lag is insane.
And that's what I was finding too. As each time that I went, whatever way I was going, it was taking me longer to recover. And as I got older, it was harder to recover. And I was like, man, and it's like you are literally asleep in the middle of the day. Like you cannot keep yourself awake. And it doesn't matter if you're active, you go outside, you slap yourself in the face, whatever, you're trying to reset your circadian rhythms. It's brutal. And it's like, because human beings were never made to move at that amount of speed, of rate, through velocity and time zones. Like, that's good for us. So yes, I love to travel and would like to do a lot more. But luckily, I kind of did the majority of that before I had kids and when they were young. It doesn't mean I'm not going to still travel, but like there's some dodgy places that I wouldn't particularly want to take a child to. Like been all through Africa, and there's some dodgy parts of Africa, and there's some dodgy parts of the Middle East, and there's some dodgy parts all over the place. And it's great. I love traveling though, but with kids it's just such a different ballpark which you're going to.
Yeah, we're planning on just going on cruises. Like we want to take cruises, like so we'll fly somewhere and then like go to the port and like go on a cruise. So that's our travel
Have you been on a cruise before? I've never been on a cruise.
Yeah, I took well because I grew up in Southern California, so you could take like weekend cruises just for 3 days down to Mexico and come back. So yeah, I've done a lot of cruises, and I love cruises. My husband's never been on a cruise, and I think he would really enjoy it too. So we're trying to plan on going on a cruise when we get back to the United States, and just like having my parents like look after our baby and just like go away for a little bit, and just like have like a nice little cruise. So that's like the goal right now, instead of like just flying to a bunch of different places, because they'll just take care of it. We just have to get off the boat and get back on the boat and go to a new spot. Like we don't have to like plan anything or worry about anything.
Yeah.
So that's our plan right now.
That
for
seems
like
smart. I like your thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done
Cruise.
one.
Have you been on a cruise?
No, I haven't done a cruise as such. And the only kind of cruise-ish thing, if you could even call it a cruise, where we actually slept on the boat, was in wasn't Vietnam. It was the top. Yes, it was Vietnam. It was in up the top, Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, Halong Bay. There we go. I have to just work out where I was. So at the top of Vietnam, you go up into Halong Bay, and it's like it's meant to be one of the 5 wonders of the world. So there's this huge, amazing, oh my God, it's stunningly beautiful. And so I went on a little boat trip. Wouldn't call it a cruise, but you sleep on the boat and you go around to different places in Halong Bay. But that was not a boat cruise that I would recommend, because it was so dodgy, and they're all dodgy. They're like, you know, when Asian countries and stuff like that will sell like this 5-star lunch and sleepover and this accommodation and this, that, and the other, and you pay X amount, and then you realize that everybody else on your tour has paid different amounts, and some people $10, other people have paid $300, and you're like, oh, what the hell is going on? It's just dodgy as. But they took our passports when we first got on the boat, and then yeah, if we didn't do what they said or buy where they wanted us to buy, they'd like threaten not to give our passports back and stuff. Like,
gosh.
Yeah, so that, yeah, it was dodgy as. But yeah, that was back before I had children. But no, I haven't. I am sure like a well-organized normal cruise would be amazing, and I've seen some amazing ones that are around like Croatia and like Greece and all those islands.
Yeah, that's kind of what we want to do. Yeah, that's kind of what we want to do, and just let the boat take us to all the places and enjoy it with stress-free, and you have like a bed and you can eat the food there and stuff like that. Yeah, I love cruises. I
can tell. You're like, yeah, get me on a boat.
Yeah, I definitely am a cruise person. I wish the food was a little better. I think now, because I haven't been on a cruise since I've been carnivore.
Yeah,
so I think now that it would be a little more difficult to find like good quality food, but still like the idea of the cruise and stuff, I'm definitely still on board with the cruise.
The good thing about most things like that, like we went to Fiji last year, and it was like an all-inclusive jobby that we ended up getting. But most of that kind of buffets, you know, producing food for a large amount of people, it is a lot of meat usually and animal products. So it was quite easy to just pick and choose. It's more like when they throw a ton of spices or sauce or things on the meat, it's a little bit harder. But when we were in Fiji, there was an omelette bar, so you could just get, you know, they had all the different vegetables that I would have eaten back in the bloody day. And watching them, they make these incredible omelettes, and these people just make omelettes all day. Like that's their life, and there's different stations throughout the thing. And I found the one that made the best omelettes. But I would have to go get butter buy the bread and bring it over and say, could you cook not in the oil, because you know they have the bottles with the seed oils and do you mind just cooking my omelette in this butter? So I get like a couple of things of butter for her, and then you know they don't get it. She's like, bacon, and so you want me to cook the butter? Okay, cook the bacon, all right, and then egg, and then just a tiny bit of cheese, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. And then they can't help. They want to throw some mushrooms in there. They're trying to put capsicum on there. I'm like, get her away. Or someone will put, oh, but you mean onion. I'm like, no. Just the meat and just the egg, and sometimes a little bit of cheese if I fancy it. But because this woman got so good at knowing me, I'd like and because this wasn't just for me, I have fucking hubby and 3 girls. So there'd be 5 of us getting omelettes. And 5 of us lined up with our plates with the little butters, like individually opened butters. And we'd go through and she'd have to make. So if anyone got behind me, I'd be like, sorry.
Yeah.
5 omelets to be cooked in butter. Such a fussy pot. But it's fine. You'll be fine on a cruise, I reckon.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there's options. You have options.
Are annoying if they don't have, you know, the right stuff. Oh, it was so nice to catch up with you. I'm so happy that you're doing well and that you're feeling amazing. I was the same. I didn't have any cravings, or I didn't have any problems. I didn't have any nausea or morning sickness or anything. You wouldn't have known I was pregnant except of the baby. I did go, you know, I did silly things, and I'm really glad to hear that you're not going to do that. I trained right up with my first. I trained right up to like 2 days before I had birth.
Really?
I was doing these crazy exercises too. I was doing like a push-up, or showing clients exercises because I was still, you know, program designing and doing all the things. And I remember I showed one of the guys a push-up, which was a push-up on a step box. So your feet are on the step box and you're doing a push-up on the ground. And as you go down, you jump your feet open to the floor on the straddle. And as you come up, you jump back on. So it's like a push-up with a kind of star jump thing. And I did that like 9 months pregnant. Like, he just kind of looked at me like, should you be doing that? And I thought, I shouldn't be doing that. I felt it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I've been just chilling and just taking it, like just
do weirdo like me.
Yeah. I just took off, like, I just decided to take all the stress off me. Like, I didn't even because I haven't been like super strict carnivore during this pregnancy either. I've been eating like sauces and hot sauce and condiments and seasonings and flavored things like you know, prime equipped protein, like the chocolate and the vanilla. So it's like beef isolate protein, but it's like flavored, and flavored electrolytes. And so I took off the pressure of myself of like, you have to be strict carnivore and just this and this and nothing else. And I was just like, if I want something that's chocolate flavored, I'll drink a chocolate protein shake. If I want like some lemon lime electrolytes, I'm gonna drink that. So I took off all the stress off myself. I didn't force myself to go to the gym if I didn't want to, and I've just been kind of like going with the flow of it. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to bounce back pretty quickly too. Just what?
You will. You totally will, because you're so healthy, Jess. Like, you know, you'll be healthy after your pregnancy as well. There's no reason that you would suddenly not be in a good health way.
Yeah. And that's because like what you were saying, like you do like X, Y, and Z, and your body does, like my body, I lost weight and I had like the best body I've ever had in my life. I was like so confident. And then it's like, I'm still doing pretty much X, Y, and Z with like condiments, and but like I'm getting fat. But it's like, you're pregnant, but my brain isn't like connecting the like you're pregnant with, it's just like, why am I getting fat?
Yeah. Why am I saying what's going on?
Yeah. So that's like been just the toughest part of like, just like knowing like, it's okay. You'll go back to it. Like your body is doing this right now, so you can like give birth to a baby. So that's like my mental dilemma right now.
Well, that's fine. And I mean, like, how are you responding to the spices and stuff? Because I am so reactive. Like, I had a bite of my daughter's sausage the other day, and just the spices that were in it, I have such little tolerance. That's the truth, because I've been so, you know, just haven't had it. And now I get like a full-blown response. And I'm like, I'll notice it's repeating on me. I'm like burping it. Like, it's just upset my digestion, and I'm like, I can't actually eat that. So like, it's fine to mess around with things as long as it's not messing you up. Like, and some people have stronger responses to it, and you just need to adjust and do what feels good.
Yeah, no, I've been fine with everything that I've added in. I can't do too much garlic. Like there's garlic in like the sauces and stuff, but like I can't do too much garlic or I'll feel like bloated and gross. But other than that, yeah, I've been fine with everything that I'm adding back in. And like, I mean, like the things that I'm adding back into are like pretty good quality things. I'm like making sure the ingredients are really minimal and like it's from like Redmond and Equip and stuff like that where you know it's like a good product. And so yeah, I haven't had any issues with any of the stuff that I'm adding in. And like the main seasonings that I add back in is like taco seasoning. Like that's
Okay.
basically like the only thing that I'm using for my meat to cook cook the meat, because I didn't get any like food or a meat aversion, because a lot of women will say that they get a meat aversion when they're pregnant.
Oh my God,
And
you know what? From
but
my last pregnancy, only out of the three, I didn't get a meat aversion, but the smell of meat, I couldn't handle it.
yeah, the smell of fat. It was
Yeah.
fat for me specifically, like
Mm.
because I was eating a ton of ground beef. And then one morning, it was still in my first trimester, but it was after I'd already moved back to Okinawa. And my husband was cooking ground beef because we usually just do ground beef and eggs. And I could not stand the smell of the ground beef cooking. And it was like the fat. And then like when he would make steaks, like the visible fat on the steak would all of a sudden like not, I wouldn't want to eat it. And so I got like an aversion to fat, but not to meat. So then
Yeah.
when that happened, I just started eating lean meat. So I ate a lot of like chicken and tuna
Oh wow.
and
Yeah.
fit like seafood and stuff like that. Chicken, tuna, eggs, things like that. And then I would just put butter, like a lot of butter on my food to get the fat. And then eventually like it started to go away, and then the smell of meat cooking started to smell good again.
Yeah. It's funny,
But
yeah.
yeah.
I could eat it all, and even fat, I could eat it. It was just the smell. So when my hubby was cooking, I would just leave the room. Or if someone was cooking, I'd have to go outside and be like, oh my God, shut the door. And I'd be like, oh, once they'd cooked it, no problem. It was really
Oh,
bizarre. And it was only for that last pregnancy of a couple of months, but it was a real pain in the butt because I would be running out of the room when someone started cooking.
yeah.
Um,
That's interesting, because yeah, a lot of women will say they get a meat aversion, and I just couldn't do the smell of the fatty meat specifically.
Yeah, interesting. So interesting. Yeah. One other thing before we hang up, I just thought I'd touch on was I don't know if you've looked into or had any conversations with anyone about the gestational diabetes test.
Mm.
I didn't have the diabetes test with any of my kids, and I looked into it quite deeply. But at the time, I had Maya and I was like in super great health. And again, I hadn't touched gluten for about more than 2 decades. And then I'd been on paleo for like 15 years. So I hadn't eaten processed foods at all for such a long time. I'm in this, like, I'm so healthy. All I eat is meat and vegetables and nuts and seeds. And you were telling me I have to drink this Lucozade. And I was just like, everything in me was like, no, 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 no. I don't want to do that. I don't want to flood my body with glucose and sucrose and poison. For what exactly?
Mm.
So I was like, at the time I was going to antenatal classes. So I didn't do antenatal classes with all my pregnancies. And I wasn't even, this sounds terrible, but I wasn't even that interested in what I was going to find out. It wasn't like, oh yeah, this like you, this size is your baby, is it this size, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that. I was going because in London, you could get free antenatal classes, right? You get X amount and everyone was entitled to them. But like the people that were at those classes wouldn't necessarily be the people that I'd want to hang out with. And so the people that typically invested in their health or invested in education or invested in that are just a kind of different thinkers. And so someone said to me, do antenatal just for the mates. Like, don't worry about, whatever about the information. But it was actually really valuable because it gave me a point to be able to ask questions, to be able to know what's kind of normal, because again, I hadn't been around that much pregnancy, etc. And it wasn't until, I was pregnant myself and then worked with a ton of people pre and postnatal and all the things, I didn't really know about this stuff. And so I asked her all about the glucose testing and the gestational diabetes, and I looked really deeply into it and then decided not to have the test done. And, I had to plan for the pushback because, they are taught that you need to take this test, that it's important that you take this test. And they sit there and they tell you that with such authority and such confidence that it makes you kind of like, well, why are you not wanting to do it? And why are you da-da-da? And you have to like give them all the reasons. And at the same time, you're feeling like really scrutinized and judged and like, because they don't understand what, it's just a little bit of sugar. Like, why aren't you just drinking it? Why are you making such a fuss? Like, I was really nervous to say no. I remember going into my appointment like riled up for it. Like, okay, I'm going to have to give her all the reasons why I'm not going to do this test. But just FYI, that might be something that you want to look into or not, just whatever. But I did decide not to do that with my kids, all three of them, and it was absolutely fine. So
yeah. I'm supposed to do it soon. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll do it or not. I'm not worried. It's just like one of those things that they want you to do. So it's like, okay, I don't think I have gestational diabetes because I'm like eating meat and animal products, so it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. That's why I was like, no.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if I'll do it or not. I don't know. It's not something I've looked deeply into.
Right? Like being a mum makes you have to start looking at these things. Like for example, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole with you because it's just a can of worms that I don't want to open. But, it's the whole thing with like immunizations. Like, do you get your child immunized or not? Do you get them with the vitamin K injection when they're first born? Do you decide to give them the different, so thank goodness, but in certain countries they give very potent live viruses to newborn babies. Like, you have to start looking at this as a mum, and it's such a bore, Jess, because it's like, but it's because you've got to make these decisions for this other little creature that is looking to you to make this decision, informed and educated, and it means that you have to look into stuff that you're just not really interested in. And the background, I worked in a medical centre for almost 8 years through university, and it was a accident and emergency clinic with a GP service and a fracture clinic, so orthopedic surgery, all smashed into one. So I could see anything from like accident and emergencies to just like general illness and sickness. But anyway, working there for so long and just being indoctrinated, even in the background. I'm not a doctor. I'm working as a medical receptionist. I'm doing all these things. And I think that you just vaccinate your kids because that's what we're told to do. You need this vaccine, and you automatically booking people in for their repeats and they're this and they're that. And I never back then would have stopped and gone, is it a good thing to vaccinate your children? Like, what do these vaccines even do? Are they even relevant? How do they act? Also, if I put them all together and then give them to the baby at the same time, what's that impact going to be? Like, we just don't think about it because it sucks. And I actually wish I'd looked deeper into vaccinations with my kids, because with all three of them, I got them vaccinated. My last, though, I only got her first couple. Like, you're meant to get like sets of them for a period of time, and I haven't. She had such an adverse reaction to the last one. She got like a full-blown eczema rash all over her legs and all over her arms instantly, and a raised red lump where the immunization had come out. And it's funny because I'll just tell you that's normal. Like, yeah, that's just normal. That's totally normal. And I'm like, And she has suffered with eczema and skin conditions since that vaccine.
Wow.
Yeah. And so now it makes me think, shit, why did I vaccinate the other girls? And why? Just because I just didn't think about it, right? I didn't look deep enough into any of it. Just like I used to ignorantly tell people to eat vegetables and fruit and plants and grains and tell them that it was good for them. Like, I didn't look enough into things. So, that's all things for you to get to look at.
Yeah. No, my mom is like my mom is really into that stuff and reads all about that stuff. So she's been telling me about about everything and like what not to do and stuff like that. So I trust her, and I'm glad she's here to help me too. So like in the hospital, like I'll have like another person there with me, like backing me up and able to like speak if I'm not able to speak, or and just keep an eye on things. Just to make sure nothing's.
You actually need that person.
Yeah.
When I had my first child, and I had this, you know, pain, I wouldn't say pain-free because it hurts like a motherfucker. It's not. I mean, it doesn't hurt at all, Jess. I've had 3 of them. It's not so bad that you wouldn't do it again, so it's okay. But anyway, when I had birth and I had, you know, had the baby and it was fine, I actually, you know, I told you that when as soon as intervention happened was the point I had a problem, was I got out of the bath, which was this big water pool thing, got out of it, and she just told me to push my placenta out. And, you know, from what I learned at the prenatal classes and from what I just heard, there's like a delay. There's a period of time before the placenta comes out after you've given birth, right? And it comes off like a slug off your uterine wall, and it slugs down and then it comes out. And so I said that. I even said that. This is even me able to consciously think of that in this time. And I was like, don't I have to wait for it to come down? She said, no, it's fine. Just push it out. And so she pulled on it. And,
oh my God.
and she actually tore it away. And I then was unconscious. And when I came to, I was on the floor and I had about 10 doctors around me, and they were like pumping on, like pushing on my stomach, and all this blood was just like gushing out.
Goodness.
Yeah.
And they're the professionals.
This is professionals. Yeah. And so this is why, you know, this is why it's just important to like have these conversations, because it's just an awareness, right? I've never told people my birth story before, like, who cares? But even in those points that I knew that something was wrong, that she should have waited, that there needed to be a delay, and I still trusted in the authority and the professional. And she said it's fine, so I did it, and then she pulled on it, which I just thought was normal, and then the next second I'm unconscious. And so basically they were able to like basically pump. I lost about 2 liters of blood, so I lost a ton of blood. And after having this non-intervention, no drugs, completely natural, no tears, nothing, having this total dream labor and birth, that I was now potentially going to go into the operating theatre because they needed to control this bleed that their midwife had created by yanking on my placenta.
Yeah. And no, I'm definitely glad my mom's going to be there, because like she's like the same mindset as me, like the same like believes the same things and stuff like that, so she'll be able to like back me up, and which will be nice
to be like, no, because even though I was saying it, she still just did whatever. And then I didn't know that any of that was wrong, right? So I went through, and luckily they were able to control the bleed, but I did have to be, I was put in a bed, and they put a catheter in because I was literally not able to move which meant I couldn't lift my baby and stuff. And I had this perfect labor, and because she didn't just allow nature to happen to what, you know, I then ended up with this. Anyway, it was fine. I was released from hospital. It was not a problem. It didn't cause me any damage, but it was unnecessary trauma to my body and to my mental health. And then months later, I was doing a talk, right? So I got invited to this antenatal group to talk about my birth experience, because up until that point, it's like this dream thing. It's like, oh yeah, I had no problems and everything was perfect and la 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 la, and this amazing birth, no tearing, la 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 la, and then just this piece at the end. And I remember telling this room full of pregnant women this story about how this woman tore my placenta, and actually just realizing that that's not normal, like that's not okay, and that's wrong. And the woman who was facilitating the talk, she was like, hey, can I speak to you at the end? And she was like, you really need to go to Chelsea and Westminster Hospital and actually tell them and speak to them, and you need to get your hospital notes, and you actually need to log a formal complaint, because this woman she could have killed you. And you know, and all it is was that she finished her shift at 12 o'clock. I had Maya at 21 past 12, so it was like 20 minutes, and she just wanted to go. And if she had to sit, wait, you know, like it's, and you just don't know, and you don't know even afterwards that it wasn't normal. And then she basically, after I went in and told the head of the board about my experience at Chelsea and Westminster. Nothing was documented in my notes, by the way. I had copies of them, and she didn't write anything. It was unexplained bleed. It was yeah, there was nothing in it about any of that. And they then brought her, not into the room with me, but they brought her in for further training and investigation. And then eventually she got fired. About a year later, she actually was not practicing as a midwife anymore. So having someone that's about, even though you know the things, like knowing that, no, don't rush me, like let the say, we want the baby to get all of the goodness, all of your stem cells, all of the stuff, like they're like clamp and cut. Like, no, we, you know, even keeping your placenta. There's things about keeping your placenta, and you can get it freeze dried and encapsulated, and then you can eat it, or you can, you know, there's all sorts of things. Have multiple birth chats, because this is like such a smidge. But I just love your overall approach, Jess, and like I can just share with you a few bits of my experience that will hopefully help you with yours. And yeah, and you're going to have a new healthy baby boy in August. Have you got any names, or are they all secret?
Yeah, we think we have one that we're kind of like playing around with. It's not like set in stone. But yeah, we think we have one. I don't want to say it though.
No, don't. I love a surprise. Like I had with mine, I usually had like 2 or 3 names that I liked, because I wasn't sure. And then until they come out, they don't look like a da-da-da. And I know some people kids, but I think that's fucking weird. Like how can you know? And I actually really
that happened with me. That happened with me. My parents had the name, they planned me for 4 years. So they planned having me for 4 years, and they had the name Jessica Annalyn Dolph picked out for 4 years. And then they named me Jessica Annalyn Dolph on my birth certificate. But when my mom gave birth to me, she said she doesn't look like a Jessica, and they combined Jessica and Annalyn, and for my whole entire life they called me Jessalyn. So I've never been called Jessica at all, but it's like on my birth certificate. Because my parents said I didn't look like a Jessica. So throughout my whole life, everyone has just always called me Jessalyn, even my parents. But it's
say Jessica on your passport as well.
Yeah, every legal document says Jessica. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, so my mom was like, she doesn't look like a Jessica, but for some reason she still named me Jessica Annalyn Dolph.
That's such a cracker. I wanted to call Maya Isabel, like so badly. And for like 2 or 3 days, I didn't tell anybody what we had decided to call her, because in my brain, I was like, Maya. She just looked like a Maya. She was definitely a Maya. And I really love the name Maya and Isabel. And I was like, oh, I really want to call her Isabel. And I'd try like Izzy. I'd try Bella. It was like I was calling a cat or a dog or something. Like it just, and I was like, she just is Maya. Like she picked her name almost. So I think people shooting the gun with that can end up with funny things happening. I'm a Jessica, obviously. And my cousin, so my dad's sister, wanted to name her daughter Jessica as well, but because I was born first and she didn't want the same name, she called my cousin Jessalyn, which is random. So there's Jessamins, Jessicas, Jessalyns, like it's such a merged name now. I don't know how you got your name.
It's Jessica Annalyn combined, and they just called me Jessalyn my whole life.
Yes, love it. Okay, well, I can't wait to see, but yeah, I like a surprise, so you know, keep it under wraps. And like you said, if someone gives you their opinion too, it can often like change your perception on something. So I don't want other people's opinions. Like I like the name that I like. Yeah. So it's good to kind of keep that under wraps. My last daughter, so I have a Maya in Indiana, as in Indiana Jones, and Winter is my third. And with Winter, I actually had the biggest family pushback. Like my sister hates the name. She's like, Winter. Oh God, da 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 da. And I was like, I don't really care what you think, but you know, like whatever. And she didn't straight out say that she hated it, but you could just tell by the look on her face that she was not a fan of it. And she went to basically like have a gossip about me to one of her friends, like, oh my God, you'll never guess what my sister's going to call her baby, la, 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 or what she's called her baby. And then her friend at the time, who's her best friend, was pregnant. And then she named her daughter Winter as well. So I was like, aha, you just doubled the amount of winter exposure because your best friend was like, oh my God, I love that name. And now has called her daughter Winter as well. And I was like, that's what you get for trying to make fun of me behind my back. But yeah, just make your own mind up on what feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we have, I think we have something that we both like. We'll see though. We'll see.
Middle names?
Middle, yeah, we have the middle name picked out too.
Is that a family one?
No, it was going to be a family name, but with the names that we like, because my husband's name is Jared Michael John, so it's a mouthful. So with our other names that we like, the family name was kind of just like a speed bump, like it was just a tongue twister. It didn't flow. And then I asked him, like, why do you guys even have this in your family? And he was like, I don't know. And then he asked his mom, and then it just wasn't like enough for him to be like, yeah, we're gonna do this. So we decided to cut out that name and just do the names that we wanted. So yeah, we're not doing. Yeah, it was
so proud of you, Jess. Like, it's so good that you're just doing what you want to do. Like, it's so important to just do what is right for you and for Jared, and just everybody else can have their opinions, but you make the decisions.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at just doing what I want to do anyway.
Yeah, it's because you've been raised well. Your mum was well. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. It was so good to have a good catch up.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was fun. It was definitely fun catching up, and it was nice. It's nice like having these types of relationships too, especially like when my husband's gone and stuff, and just being able to like have friends that you can still connect with.
Yeah, totally. I find that too. And it is tricky when your hubby is traveling or when you don't have family close, and you know, I love that though, because I've made so many amazing friends in this carnivore community, and it's really weirdly like effortless and quite organic, and just when you catch up it's just like normal. And yeah, I love these friendships too, so it's so nice to see you, babe, and I will check in with you. But all the best for everything, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.